Hi parents, it's Kelly Pfeiffer with Think It Through Parenting. I am a positive discipline lead trainer and I love helping families. In this video, I'm going to explain 3 reasons why your child of any age is most likely having a tantrum. Here's what's going on. And once you know these 3 things, it's going to make everything much easier. Doesn't mean I'm going to tell you that the tantrums are going away, but now you'll understand what's going on so that you can try some different methods that will work better. So the number 1 reason that your child is having a tantrum is because that's how the brain and the body responds to stress. So it's the brain's response to stress. And I'm going to tell you more about that so you will really understand what's going on. So I want to thank Dr. Dan Siegel for creating the model of the brain in the palm of the hand, and it really makes it a simplified way to understand what's going on in the brain. So hold up your hand, fold your thumb in, fold your fingers over. You have just created a mini model of the brain that you can put beside your big brain. So the fingers right here correspond to the brain that's behind your forehead, called your prefrontal cortex. We're just going to call it what Dr. Dan Siegel calls it, the upstairs brain. And so the upstairs brain is smart and logical and rational and great at problem solving at whatever age your child, or what level they have problem solving skills. This is the thinking brain. Then we have the downstairs brain, the midbrain. The midbrain is not very logical. It's not very rational. It is mainly concerned with feelings, happy, sad, scared. And one of the big feelings it's concerned about with stress is safety. Do I feel safe or unsafe? Stressed, unstressed. And that can be emotional stress or physical stress. So with kids having tantrums, most often it's emotional stress. So we've got our upstairs brain, thinking brain. Our downstairs brain is a feeling brain. And then the midbrain, this feeling brain, downstairs brain, works very closely with the survival brain, which is what your forearm represents. So your forearm represents the part of the brain that's called the brainstem, and it comes out of the back of the brain and goes through the spinal cord. Lots of times we just think about the brain as this top part that's in your skull, but the brain has a tail that goes all the way down through your spinal cord to your tailbone. So that's what your forearm is representing. So when we feel safe and unstressed, we do our best thinking. When we don't feel safe and we feel very stressed, then something else happens and the brain downshifts into the brainstem, and the brainstem takes over and goes into fight, flight, or freeze mode. In the brain, this thinking brain, we say it flips its lid. That's what Dr. Dan Siegel says. I love this model. And so nothing really moves, but this is a great model to show us that the thinking brain kind of gets cut off. It's not accessible when we are under a huge amount of stress, and then that fight, flight, or freeze response happens. Instead of this thinking brain guiding what we're doing and making great decisions, it's not accessible, and the brainstem takes over with fight, flight, or freeze response. And that often results in a tantrum for your child. So the number 1 reason that your child is having a tantrum is because your child is super stressed, has flipped his lid or flipped her lid, and the thinking brain isn't really available. The number 2 reason that your child is having a tantrum is because when your child does experience stress, disappointment, then your child lacks the skills to handle that stress and handle that disappointment. Your child is just learning about the world. Your child does not have all the skills he will need to be successful in life. And one of the big mistakes that parents make is just not understanding how that self-regulation, the way to handle disappointment and manage our emotions, manage ourselves, it doesn't just happen. It takes lots and lots of practice. And I think you parents, if you're looking for parenting advice, you've probably seen lots of new information coming out about social and emotional development and social and emotional regulation. And I'm so excited that the rest of the world is getting on board with this, because I've been teaching it for about 17 years. So if we want our children to learn how to do math, we teach them math skills. If we want them to learn to read, we teach them reading skills. If we want them to learn self-regulation skills, we have to teach them some self-regulation skills. So that second reason is a lack of skills. And I do want to mention that for infants, toddlers, and twos, we don't even expect them to have those skills. Now, the rare child might have some of those skills at that age, but it is completely typical, normal, typical development for infants, toddlers, and twos to not be able to calm themselves at all and to have tantrums. And infants, toddlers, and twos, we don't expect to do it for them to have those calming skills by themselves, and so they really need our help in calming down. And we all know that it helps if you have a friend to calm down, but especially for those infants and toddlers and twos, we can't expect them to do that self-calming. And at 3, we can start expecting to see some skills, and some 2-year-olds, but most of them, it will be the rare 2-year-old that would have a few of those skills. So I do want to mention that that's completely typical. If your 2-year-old's having daily tantrums, typical. All right, so that second reason was your children have a lack of skills to deal with stress and disappointment. That's the second reason. And then even your 8-year-old is still learning. And then in the teen years, all the hormones come along and kind of undo a lot of what they had learned, but they just add the hormones add so much more stress to your child's life. And so they have to, it's just a lot more stress going on in those teen years than was before. So we have to think about development, human development, especially social and emotional development, and what's going on when we're looking at our child and a certain behavior as well. Okay, back to our third reason. Third reason that your child is having tantrums is just because everybody loses it sometimes. So even if you teach your child great self-regulation skills, let's say you have a 12-year-old, you think this is going well, there are going to be days when the stress just feels like too much. We know that as a parent. We flip our lids too sometimes and yell and say things that are not so positive. And then later when we calm back down, we think, oh, that wasn't very helpful, the thing I said. So even your children, even the ones who have pretty good self-regulation skills, are going to have those times where they just can't hold it. And the brain and the body have this stress response that happens, and it's to help us survive the stressful response. It's supposed to help us survive, but often it is very irritating to other people. So that third reason is that we all lose it sometimes. So to have the expectation that your child will all of a sudden be able to self-regulate all the time and never have anything like that is not a realistic expectation. We all get overstressed. And along with that, there's been some research put out lately that says that our kids are stressed like never before. So I'll make another video about how to lower the stress level in your house and for your children. So if, say, you have an older child and all of a sudden you're seeing a lot of this go on, maybe check in with what's going on for the child, and maybe there's something extra stressful going on that you didn't realize. So it's a sign of stress. It's a sign of lack of skills. It's a sign of the brain's stress response. These are 3 reasons that your child is having tantrums. And I will make more videos about what you can do about it, because I've been teaching this for 17 years, and the tools that I teach are often very different than traditional parenting tools. But once we understand this brain in the palm of the hand model, then the new tools actually make sense, because traditional parenting might say that we need to give a threat or a punishment when a child is having a tantrum. this was caused from stress and fear in the first place. And so adding more stress and fear to this already stressed brain is not helpful in the moment. And it doesn't teach any self-calming skills. So I'll make more videos, and you can learn more about your child so that you can help your child learn some new skills and prevent those tantrums. But it really helps if you understand what's going on in the big picture first. If you like this video, click the like button below. You can also subscribe to my channel. I can't remember which side that's on. But I'm Kelly Pfeiffer with Think It Through Parenting. I'm a positive discipline lead trainer. I've been teaching positive discipline parenting workshops for 17 years, and I love helping families.